3 decades in prison, Erik and Lyle Menendez are finally facing parole hearings both today and tomorrow.
That's right. The brothers were convicted in 1996 for the murder of their parents and originally sentenced to life without parole. That changed back in May when a judge resentenced them to 50 years to life. It's a decision that made them eligible for parole. We're joined live by attorney Joanne Molinaro to break it all down for us. Thank you for coming back on the show.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Always good to have you. Okay, so we're about an hour from this first hearing starting. We understand it's going to happen over video conference. What else should we be expecting from this?
Well, I think the parole hearing today and tomorrow will focus on the key question, whether Erik and Lyle pose an unreasonable danger to the society. We're also going to hear from family members of the brothers who, according to most sources, they fully recommend and support the brothers' release. We're also going to hear from representatives from the DA's office, which is on the other end of the spectrum. They are very much opposing the parole of these brothers. So we're going to hear from a lot of different people. We also already have a risk assessment report that the parole board did back in May during the resentencing hearing. So there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be coming out. And of course, we're going to hear from the brothers themselves.
You know, when you think of a parole process, it's usually just a pretty quick thing, right, that happens. But in this particular case, we've had so many twists and turns and different entities involved and the governor weighing in, all these different places. Is this what a normal parole process looks like?
I think that the parole board will try to do everything as, quote, normal as possible. But the reality, no, of course not. It's not normal. We have millions of people who are going to be tuning in on reports and updates from this parole board hearing. We've got a lot of local interest because these crimes happened right here. These boys are, I don't want to call them boys anymore, but these gentlemen are essentially celebrities. So there's a lot of interest here. And as you noted, the governor has also weighed in sporadically throughout the entire resentencing process. And ultimately, he is going to be the, quote, arbiter of whether or not these gentlemen will be released. So there's a lot of attention that's going to be zeroed in on this. So I'm not sure that it's going to be a one and done type of thing that, you know, we typically may see.
Yeah, you talked about that risk assessment. What other factors is the parole board considering? And since the brothers are appearing individually, is it possible there's different outcomes for each of them?
Absolutely, Sheba. It is very possible that, for example, Erik will receive parole and Lyle may not. And in relation to that, one of the interesting things in the risk assessment report was that they found that Lyle has a tendency to show narcissistic personality. So there is absolutely a possibility, especially since the panel members themselves will be completely different from each brother, that we have a different result.
Could the other brother say that he was under narcissistic abuse?
He could say that. There are all sorts of things that can come out. You know, one of the things that did happen during the resentencing hearing is that each of these brothers said, I take full responsibility for what happened. It was an atrocious crime. It was awful. That was something that we saw, you know, DA requesting, demanding as part of the resentencing. And apparently it was not good enough for him.
No, he wanted specifics of what they were apologizing for.
I lied. I manipulated. I said these things. That was what the Hockman was demanding as part of the resentencing. I don't know if any of that would come out in this parole board hearing.
Interesting.
It is fascinating. And I think it has garnered so much media attention. Does that weigh in at all for the parole board?
Again, I think the parole board would take the position, no, it doesn't. But how can it not? They're human beings after all. So they have to know that eyeballs are going to be on this. They are going to be scrutinized.
Oh, I'd be so
certainly, absolutely.
And what happens if parole is denied for one or either? Is there still hope, or is that the final decision?
It's not the final decision with regard to the parole, because as you know, people are up for parole multiple times. So they could certainly be released earlier than life, correct? But there's also the pending new trial motion, right? And there's also clemency as a possibility by the governor as well. So there are multiple different avenues that the brothers are continuing to pursue, which is, you know, strategically the way that I would recommend.
Well, I think we'll be part of the millions watching today.
Absolutely. I certainly will be.
Very interesting. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Joanne. Good to see you.